Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 45 for Wednesday, March 21st, 2018. Welcome to the show, everybody. I appreciate you guys being here. Welcome, listeners. I got a new sponsor this week that quickly fizzled out, and I will tell you guys about that later on. I saw some movies and some shows, got some new whiskeys and glasses, that promo gigs, and I'll read your emails later on. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in this episode. And kicking it right off, I'm going to say that as the last episode of the podcast was recorded, I went out to meet someone on Kijiji. You guys know my love-hate relationship with Kijiji. I love putting stuff out on Kijiji. I hate dealing with the people who respond to it. You know what I mean? Sometimes not every fish that bites the line is one you want to reel in. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it just fucking nibble at your worm, and then you got to put a new worm on there. You don't have to do that in Kijiji, but you know what I'm saying? They nibble at your resources. And for me, my resource ain't worms, it's time, So this guy here, I think this has a happy ending. I think it does. Because, I actually went out to meet this guy. I had to work at the mobile shop, one of my last remaining shifts at the mobile shop. I went out to College Square. I told the guy, here's the thing. It's right next to Algonquin College. I told the guy, let's meet at the Starbucks, all right, at College Square, 3 o'clock, right? That 1-2 tree. And he said, sure, let's do it. Makes perfect sense. He goes to Algonquin. He has class of 4. I had work at 4. Perfect, right? Perfect. So I decided, I went out, I strolled out that way, grabbed my shit, headed on out to that there. And I was there at 3 o'clock. I think I was there like 3:03, right? So I messaged the guy, said, hey man, I'm a couple minutes behind. I apologize, but I'm here. Let's do this. He responds to me, hey, just running a little late. I'll be there soon. I was like, okay. So I sat in Starbucks, about 20 after I sent him a message saying, hey man, I gotta leave for work in 10 minutes at 3:30. If I don't see you, let's do this. Let's do it another time or whatever. I think I just said I had to leave at 3:30. Excuse me. Sorry guys. I'm a little, I've been fighting a cold all week. I was hoping to address that later in the show, but I've been fighting a sore throat and cough all week that I hope doesn't build up too much in this podcast. I'm worried that the more I talk, the drier and hoarser I'm going to get, but we will see that as it comes. Anyways, sitting there waiting for this guy. It's 20 after 3, which I think we can all understand and agree is late. If you're meeting for a business transaction, it's 20 minutes is real late. So I sent him a message 20 after, said, hey man, I got to leave at 3:30. I got to go to work. And he goes, don't worry, I'll be there before then. So I think at like 26 after, he's like, all right, I'm in the Starbucks. And I was sitting right at the front door, right? Nobody walked in. And he goes, I'm in the Starbucks. I'm wearing gray, this and that. He goes, what are you wearing? And I go, I'm in a blue hoodie. And I've been at this, I've been sitting at the front door for the last 10 minutes. No one's come in, and he goes, I go, are you at the Starbucks at College Square? And he goes, yeah. And I go, that College Square is the mall across the street from the college, not in the college itself. He's like, oh. And I go, all right, we'll do this another time. Because at this point, I don't have time to drive over into the college, find paid parking, and then run inside the building. So I said, look, we'll do this another time. And I dipped. So obviously, understandably frustrated. Luckily, it wasn't too far out of my way from work and I was already out of the house. And again, nobody likes going out to do things to get dicked around. So I had a fine shift in the mobile shop. And that was the rest of my day pre-podcast lunch last week. Wednesday, groovy day. Had a very groovy day. I had to tell you guys, I think I told you last week, but I was really worried because I had a doctor's appointment on Wednesday afternoon and I had an interview with Zoe Rabnett, who is the director of festival talent and planning. We were still not agreeing, her and I, on not the two of us disagreeing. Sorry, that sounds like I didn't agree with her title. I was asking her what her title was, and what she told me was different than the signature on her email. And it was all, she's like, you know what? It changes all the friggin' time in terms of just how the words are oriented in the title. Anyways, regardless, director of talent and festival planning, Zoe Rabnett, for the Just for Laughs Festival. So anybody who's booked anywhere in the world shy of the United States to do Just for Laughs in any of its capacity, Zoe is the one who books that. So really looking forward to have had, at the time I was really looking forward to having that chat with her and just ask her questions about the festival and her involvement and her love of comedy and everything like that, because Zoe, while she's always been super, super nice, has been very intimidating to me because she is a bit like Caesar in the fact that, she decides whether you do the festival or not. And I'm going to add this little bonus here because, again, wonderful person. I haven't got anything negative to say whatsoever, and I hope this doesn't paint that in the light. It's also, I think, her concern too. Regardless, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Is when Zoe and I were talking while I was setting up to do the interview, I went to her hotel. No, I'm just kidding. Went to meet her at her hotel downtown, and as I was setting up, she was talking, just saying, I was telling her how, like, I'm still I'm always completely honest with Zoe too. I'm always just like, you scare the hell out of me. And it's not because you've ever been mean or intimidating. It's just that, the office that you hold of, like, being that person who decides, and she's like, yeah, I've been called like a gatekeeper before. And I really don't like that term because, it implies that, I want to keep people out. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, at the same time, I'm not going to sit here before we've even started talking and disagree with her. But the truth is, if you're making the decisions, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to necessarily be an ugly thing. Like, I get the whole idea that, like, as a gatekeeper, it looks like you want to keep people out. But at the same time, if you are the one who lets them in, if you're the only one who can let them in, I can see where people get that title. You're the gatekeeper because you're the one who decides in or out. But regardless, whatever. We were having that chat. So because of her center, I was just like, I'm as intimidated because while I have done Just for Laughs 42 festival in Toronto, I have never done the Just for Laughs festival in Montreal, and it's something that's very important to me. A very important credit for my comedy resume. You guys can listen to the interview with Zoe. It did come out last Friday. Excuse me, and as I'll always get to that. But I was having sort of a really weird emotional day in the sense that I was going to meet with Zoe, do a podcast, and then I had my doctor's appointment. And for some reason, I just had a horrible feeling that my doctor's appointment was not going to go well. Now, I know that I did some tests in December. I hadn't heard back, so usually that's a good sign in the sense that if something bad comes on a result of a test, they usually tell you relatively quick. But I just always have this horrible feeling that, like, I'm the one who's like, oh shit, your thing got put at the bottom of the pile. I didn't find it till last week, and I figured since you're coming in right now anyways, like, I was just like, oh, fuck. Like, I'm always good at talking myself into worst case scenario. So, excuse me. Horrible. One sec. I'm so sorry. Part of being sick is sometimes you got inexplicable goo that wants to come out of you at inopportune times. All right. Hopefully that's the last little bit for a while. But anyways, I was dreading the doctor's appointment. I was even sitting there chatting with Zoe saying that, like, I'm like, it's a weird day in the sense that I go, you're the person who's capable of giving me the absolute best news. And I go, I'm going to see the person after you who's capable of giving me the absolute worst news. So just an interesting day at that point. I had a fun, here's the thing. I called my doctor's office because when I was done the interview with Zoe, it was so close to my appointment. I called them to say I was going to be a little bit late. They're like, if you're more than 5 minutes late, it's not worth it. But I got lucky and I rescheduled it for just an hour or so later. So I got lucky, got to tear down, bring my stuff home, head to the doctor's appointment. And the doctor's appointment, I can tell you guys, I'm sitting there in the waiting room, my legs shaking, my hands, I'm so nervous. And then when I saw him, I'm like, I'm just so anxious today. I'm terrified you're going to be terrible news. He's like, no, dude, like, everything's good. I'm like, you're good. In talking with him, he said that my diabetes level since the test that I took in I think early January or whatever is dropped back down below diabetic level. So my blood's good. My liver and pancreas are actually doing better than they were previously based on the blood work. And I don't have fat necrosis. So that's a good thing, ? In terms of where I'm at, because he was saying that, like, I may have aggravated an injury a long time ago and it's causing me pain. And because when it causes me pain, I tend to focus on it. I'm capable of making it more than what it is. He's not saying that there's nothing there, but he's like, you might need to strengthen the area. So this all comes back down to losing the weight stuff. Big surprise. So that's the new focus, right? So I feel good about the diabetes and the liver stuff. Like, basically, a lot of my issues all come back down to losing the weight. So I'm in a good position. That's got to be my focus. He's like, we'll just check you again in 2 months. We'll do the blood work again in 4 or 5 months. So as it stands right now, just take care of myself should be the main mantra that I'm having is just work on losing the weight, gym, eating right, rinse, repeat. So that's some good news. Health stuff looking optimistic in a very good way. So, thank you for everyone who's been sending love and support along the way. I got, I feel like I've made it. I just was so much panic about things getting worse and whatnot and having all these horrible avenues to go down. But regardless, no, it's just the horrible avenue of having to go to the gym and eat salad. Which don't get it twisted. It's fucking horrible. You people out there living good, clean lives, you are missing out. All right. Or are you? It's one of those things. You want to be here for a short time and enjoy it or a long time and loathe it. But regardless, I'm just fucking around. You guys have, you fucking herbivores, all right? You guys are having a good time too, right? With your salads. You're like, I can't believe how fresh these beets are. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I went home from that, and I think I was messaging a buddy of mine, Aaron Guthrie. He was actually, Aaron's a good friend of mine in the sense that him and I met at Good Life. He was the assistant manager of a Good Life that I went to a couple years back. We became friends. He's a listener of the podcast, and just a good dude. And I think I was chatting with him, and we've been trying to, believe it or not, get together since December. I went in to see him at Good Life the last time I was there in December. But I just started shooting the shit via text. We've been trying to find a time that both works, and I think Wednesday night I was off. I just was like, hey, dude, you want to get together, do some shit? And he was like, yeah, my girl and I are really kind of into board games. I was like, buddy, green light. So I brought some games. We went over to his place in the Quebec side. I parked on the street, and I'll get back to that later because it's been snowing. All right. So anyone in Ontario knows exactly what that means. So, I went over to his place. His buddy, Andrew was there. We hung out. His lady Hillary was there as well. So it was kind of cool. It was 4 of us, brought some games, played games, had drinks. Oh yes, we did. Taking that doctor's advice to heart immediately. All right, Josh, I'd keep it to about 1 drink a day if possible. All right. Sounds good. Or spread an entire week's worth of drinking into one night. And then totally forgot I did it and do it the next day. I'm an idiot. It's not that bad. I'm just joking. I had a couple glasses of wine, so I'd be lying if I was like, hey, I was just celebrating, because people will tell themselves shit like that and then just keep doing it for some reason, right? So, I drank that night. I drank with my friends. I was feeling good about my doctor's diagnosis, but I got to obviously keep it under control because I've done tests for years and been told, hey, you don't have diabetes, you don't have high blood pressure, you don't have cholesterol, and no one tell me I have fatty pancreas or liver, right? So you just, I'm doing fine. You keep fucking around, and then all of a sudden, you got diabetes and fatty, all that shit, right? So it's on the downswing from the last time I was tested. Great. Let's keep working in that direction. That's all. I got to sorry, this is more about telling myself than you guys, but, excuse me. So yeah, we went to his place, games and drinks late into the night, played several games, like just lots of different fun stuff. We had a good time. And then everyone started to get a little drunk. A couple of my friend Aaron's kids, woke up in the middle of the night because we were a bit loud. And then I think he went into, to put them back to sleep. He may have passed it there. His lady went to check on him at one point. She never came back. Andrew and I passed out on the couches. And then I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, went up to my car. And because it had been snowing, I got a parking ticket. So, it was a fun evening, a $55 expensive evening, from the parking ticket, but I had a good time. No regrets, man. No regrets. I fucking hate parking tickets. Nobody likes them, but the idea is like it was $53 because I was parked on the street. And the funny thing was I parked in like the side of Aaron's place, and it looks like there's like a little parking lot, but there was no like labeled spots. So it wasn't like, let's put it this way. It's next to a 3 apartment house. There's 9 parking spots there. So clearly some of them got to be visitors or something. It doesn't make sense that they have all these parking spots, right? But they're not labeled. So when I asked Andrew, when I got there, I was like, hey man, should I park? Like, am I good to park here on the side? And he was just like, I parked on the street. You're probably better there. And I didn't want to piss anybody off or have my car get towed or whatever. So I'm like, I'll just park on the street. It's not that bad. You can park legally on the street. Fuck. Anyways, so went out at 5 o'clock in the morning, $53 ticket. I was going to fight it, only in the sense that, like, if you go in and plead your case, sometimes they'll cut it in half. But getting back to that whole currency thing, time being one of them, I'm like, you know what? Since it's here on the Quebec side, I'm gonna have to come during the day, which means I gotta fuck around with the rush hour traffic, and then I gotta park again. I have horrible luck parking. You guys remember this? I told you guys about this when I was doing the Airbnb in Montreal. I told you that fucking province. I swear to God. I put my car anywhere on the street in that province, and I usually get a parking ticket. So yeah, I dodged the bullet in Montreal, but it caught up to me. It's like Final Destination bullshit. You think you got away with it? It's coming for you. It's gonna fucking get you, and when you least expect it. And that's when I least expected it. So I got a parking ticket. Anyways, Thursday I did like minor meal prep-ish at home. Nothing super fancy, but just I got some salad from Costco. A really nice, like, zesty tortilla salad kind of stuff, which is just covered in sauce and salsa and like a vegetarian tempeh kind of thing. But it was delicious. It was delicious. Lots of cabbage and lettuce in it too. It was a good meal. I had a good time. I can't remember what tasting I did for LCBO on Thursday. I wonder. Maybe give a little plug for you guys. It is dangerous. Oh, it's funny. My head's barely turned, but it's what a difference it makes just not being pointed at the microphone itself. So Thursday would have been, I did Bailey's. Yeah, that was a fun, interesting drink. Why not give them a little plug? I did a Bailey's Almond, ALMONDE tasting. It's for a new Bailey's drink that's almond flavor, but it's made with almond milk. So it is vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free. So if you have like any intolerances or anything like that, and you still want to drink something kind of nice, it's not bad. People put it in smoothies because it's made with almond milk. I think it's 13% alcohol as opposed to the usual 17 that Bailey's is. So, yeah, it was nice little tasting, you know, not a lot of people like, loved it. I'm trying not to shit on them, but at the end of the day, it's a very mild tasting, liqueur. So I would just say, if you happen to be gluten-free and dairy intolerant, that kind of thing, it is a liqueur that you can drink with absolutely no negative effects because it's made with almond milk. So dairy-free, gluten-free, it's effectively vegan because of that. So check that out. That's what I did on Thursday. That was a fun tasting. It wasn't anything super exciting. You know, like I said, I don't know. I'm starting to get into scotches and stuff. I'm gonna fuck around with with fucking Bailey's. Almond milk with a little sweetness to it. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I had a good time. I came home. It's funny because like Thursday night is sort of turning into a games night here at the house. So, you know, without making every fucking story about playing board games, I am loving how many times a week I get to just sit around with friends, good people, having conversations. You know what I'm loving about it is the social aspect. All right. I go to bed alone every night now. Okay. And it feels good to be around people, especially when you're drinking, you know. So that's 2 nights in a row I was drinking, but it was getting close to St. Paddy's Day. So, you know, I was feeling the Irish. Of course, I got to say, being in LCBOs all the time, liquor stores, for those who don't know what an LCBO is, it's hard to not want to drink when you're around it for 4 hours and you're tasting and you're giving away tastings and you're seeing all the sales and the good deal. I'm a sucker for a deal. But, anyways, yeah, so I got myself some, some Guinness and some Smithwick's and all that stuff. And then I came home and we played some games. Colin O'Brien, his lovely wife, Jason Lawrence, of course, owner of Absolute Comedy, my buddy. And yeah, that was a good time. Friday, I don't know why I have to label it through the week, but I do a lot of stuff. Just trying to tell you guys the fucking highlights. You know, Friday I did an LCBO promo. It was way the hell out in the east end of town. It was for Crown Royal Blenders Select. It's a special limited edition Crown Royal that's made entirely for Ontario. All right. It's won some awards from the Globe and Mail. So if you're Canadian and you enjoy a Crown Royal, know that there is a special edition out there called Blenders Select. Very, very tasty. So much so that Simon and I actually decided to go half and half on a bottle. Simon, my roommate, he is a big Crown Royal fan. I was telling him about this from the tastings, and he was like, I'll go half on a bottle with you if you want. So when Simon and I sit around and play games, we've decided we now have a communal bottle that we will drink from. I picked that up, I think, yesterday. But yeah, very, very excited to try the, drink some of the blender select them. I've tried it. It's actually quite tasty. So if you're a Crown Royal fan, definitely look into checking that out. A little on the pricier side. It's $55 a bottle, but it is special limited edition only for Ontario residents and only available at the LCBO. So yeah, that's a fun thing. Again, Saturday I did a quick little stop at the mobile shop afterwards. Oh, am I talking Scott? Nah, I'm talking Friday. What the hell's wrong with me? I'm talking about Friday. Because I did one on St. Patty's Day too, guys. That's all I do. I'm a booze-slinging bastard now. I bought another bottle of scotch. The scotch collection is getting a little bit better. I bought a Glenmorangie. What the fuck is it called? I'm an idiot. I'm like, I'm going to talk about this. I got a new scotch. I'm like, I'm not going to forget the name. It has one that's difficult to remember. Come on. You guys get to hear me Google things. Yeah, let's do this. Oh, is it the first one? Did I get lucky? Oh, I thought I got lucky that for some reason Google was going to give me the one kind that I need. So let's see if we can pull it up here. Real quick on the phone, maybe sing, maybe it'll be mildly entertaining if I make noise into the microphone. It only brought up one. So would you please, come on. It's in a black box, and it's aged in, what was it called? It's aged in, come on. What's not that? Port casks, because one of them's sherry. I'm learning a lot about it, and we're going to talk about scotches a little bit later on. But there's a Glenmorangie that's aged in sherry casks. Oh, for Christ's sakes, I'm just going to stand up. One sec. Making noise about the fucking podcast listeners. It's called Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban. There we are, Quinta Ruban. I should have just done this in the first place. Son of a bitch. Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban. It is a lovely scotch. Big old price tag on that one. I got it because every time I'm in one of these LCBOs, their single malt scotch collections and fancier scotch collections are all different. So there's not always the same. Yeah, that's what different means, Josh. So there's not always the same ones in every location. I like being redundant. I'll take a peek at each one of these sections and see what they have, but a lot of them, have different, of the more expensive ones. So I'll take a peek around this one. Of course, I hadn't seen this one in any of the LCBOs that I'd worked in the last month. And I also noticed that it was the last one. And when I saw the what do you call it? The fact that it was aged in port casks, because port is a sweeter wine, right? And I tend to like my whiskeys with a little sweeter finish versus the peaty, smokier finishes. So I was like, well, that looks good. And then I take it out of the box in the store, and I saw how dark the coloring was. And it just the darker the color, usually the sweeter it is. However, something I read recently is that there's actually coloring that's added to some scotches, which seems sneaky, right? The color should be a representation of what's actually in it, not some fake shit. But more on that later. So I bought myself the Quinta Ruban scotch. Very, very excited. I also bought myself a set of whiskey stones. So for anyone who's not familiar with these, if you enjoy drinking fine spirits, but you don't like ice in them because it ruins the flavor, well, there's an option. And again, I'm sure anyone who's actually interested in this fact probably already knows about this, but you can actually buy whiskey stones or spirit stones. And I'm sure actually if you type in spirit stones, you're probably going to get a bunch of Wiccan sites first. A bunch of crazy bitches dancing around in the fucking woods around a fire holding weird rocks. I really think that that's what you would get if you typed in spirit stones. But spirits meaning alcohol, you're going to get a lot more luck if you type in whiskey stones. Regardless, these are stones that you put in the freezer and they will actually hold colder temperature, right? But the idea is you put them in your drinks, and because of the fact that stones don't melt and dilute your beverage, they make it cold without ruining it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So I bought myself a set of those. I think I bought some previously at Bed Bath & Beyond, but they're really very, very square shaped. To a fault in the sense that they're very, very sharp edges. So instead of being rounded edges, you sharp edges, very, very, tight cut corners. And so the point is, like, all the edges and the corners of them are all dangerous when you're drinking out of a crystal glass. So to lift it up and have one of those fall and whack the side of the glass, you're going to cause some damage. So I got some ones with some nice rounded, nice rounded edges, diamond shape, so they actually move differently in the glass to prevent from stacking and then falling. It's all very important science when you're being a pretentious cocksucker. You got to know what they are. So I got myself a set of those bad boys. And I also ordered, I did that on Friday. I also ordered some glasses. I was having a conversation with the one of the gentlemen that worked at the LCBO that same night I bought that scotch, which is probably what put the fucking idea in my head. We were having a big conversation about different scotches and what we like and the tastes and stuff. And he was saying how he, young guy, I would say mid-20s maximum, but he's saying how his uncle first made him try a scotch. And then I made several jokes about what else did his uncle make him try. But we had a conversation about different scotches, and he was making recommendations to me. And then he asked me if I had any glassware. And I know that, I enjoy drinking scotch out of a proper glass. I'm not looking to drink out of a fucking, styrofoam cup or something. But I had some regular glasses here at the house that I thought were okay. And he was making mention that the glass that you drink out of has a very big effect on how the scotch, I don't want to say releases alcohol, but how the alcohol notes come in comparison to the notes of the actual beverage. The shaping of the glass, your hand warming it up, which is, of course, the effect of the stones, lots of different things. So he had suggested that I invest in some proper whiskey glasses and made a few suggestions of places to go. Well, I went to my favorite place to go as of late, which is the internet, right? Because why go to a store, look around, they don't have what you want. I think that night I actually went to Canadian Tire and I bought a set of pint glasses because we're running dangerously low on them in the house. People keep breaking them. So I bought a clearance set of pint glasses, 6 large pint glasses from Canadian Tire for $9. It was fucking amazing. And then I went and I poked around their section. I got a nice set of crystal glasses for the whiskey, just temporarily, even just if it's just for mix. And then I started perusing the internet, and I found an amazing set of glasses. And I'm actually in the process. I sent them a message tonight because I just received them today prior to recording this podcast. It is, of course, Tuesday evening. And I don't, let's put it this way. I'm going to post it on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. I think I might actually, I might just do Instagram, Facebook and Twitter another time because I'm in the process of talking to them. I would love for them to send me a larger quantity of these because they are quite expensive. But you look for them. I'll post it on Instagram so you can see it there, and I'll tag them in it. But anything else is a little more advertisement I want to give them before hearing back from them, right? If I'm giving them all this advertisement for free, but I'll go into detail on them once they become a sponsor. Oh man, I will talk about these. And of course, any of you guys that message me, on another avenue, I'll answer. I'll tell you about them. But they're wicked cool. They were originally launched on Kickstarter 2 years ago, and the engineering and the ingenuity and what they bring to the table in terms of tasting a fine spirit or something like that is absolutely incredible. I've learned a lot just researching this. So I got them. I haven't even opened them yet. I'm looking forward to doing that. But yeah, talk more about that later. And then, yeah, like I said, I started getting sick. So Saturday, St. Paddy's Day. I hope you guys had a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. I started the day off by doing an LCBO promo for Wolfhead again. So the coffee liqueur, very, very tasty stuff. I'm working on a bottle of the Cavy, which is made at the Wolfhead Distillery. Wolfhead's a great liqueur, guys. It's cold brewed coffee mixed with Canadian whiskey, right? So rye. We were making old fashions with them. So orange bitters, orange rimmed glasses, a little bit of orange peel in the drink itself. Delicious. So that's what I was making on Saturday. I had a great time doing that. As always, just love and chat with people. I had to work the mobile shop immediately afterwards. Again, no issue whatsoever. Had a great afternoon there. It's funny. I did, actually, was it that night that I bought? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The idea is I bought glasses last week, both at Canadian Tire and on the interweb. The interweb. I did some meal prep too on Saturday night, though. I don't know why I'm having a hard time remembering what it was. I think it was just some of the simple enough. I've started doing stuff, guys, with just like really simple chickens, but I bought all these like East Indian sauces from Costco. So like a Rogan Josh and a Tiki Masala, whatever. And the idea is I have all these cans of chickpeas, and there's a lot of good stuff in chickpeas, obviously, and I'm trying to make it so that, I'm reading more of them. Oh God, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I don't know if you guys can hear the ambulances and whatnot. Right next to the hospital, so it happens occasionally. Occasionally, we'll hear the helicopters, too, from them airlifting someone in or out of the hospital. All right. I get distracted easily. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, the Tiki Masala and Rogan Josh sauce. So I've got all these cans of chickpeas. I bought them when I was a little more adamant about the health, but I was like, oh, I'll make some hummus or something. The idea is I just want all the good shit, the proteins and stuff that come from chickpeas. But the problem is I don't know what to do with them. I'm not going to make so much hummus, right? You got to add like the tahini and the olive oil. So you're getting a lot more bad stuff in there than you really need. So at the end of the day, I was like, I need to make something with these chickpeas, but, I didn't know what to do with them, and I didn't want to just make a bunch of hummus and then start ingesting carbs as I dip shit into them, right? So I decided, I saw these sauces at Costco, sampled what they were doing. They were actually just mixing straight up chickpeas into this Rogan Josh sauce and then pouring it on a bed of basmati rice. And I was like, oh, I can do that. That's fucking super easy. So I bought all these sauces, and I actually ended up having a little bit of the last set of chicken that I'd prepped. Just regular chicken breasts cooked. So I did like one of the spicy butter chicken sauces. I know that's not super good for you, but I did the spicy butter chicken sauce, chopped up the chicken, mixed in that, and then laid it on top of a bed of basmati. Oh, was it good? And then I had a few extra meals left over on the side. So I think right now, even though not all the meals I'm making are great, I'm just getting myself in the habit of actually prepping meals for other times. I steamed vegetables with it too, if that helps any. Doesn't, it's still bad for me. Whatever. Feeling better, doing better things. I'm also doing like curls. While I've got a weight set that I've had only for like 4 years and never opened. But I had a little weight set in a box, and Paul from the writers group had suggested just, sitting around, if you're going to sit and do nothing, which is not really what I do, but he's like, if you're just going to sit and watch TV, he's like, always just sit and, do curls. As you're sitting there, just curl weights, you'll tone the muscle, you'll burn some fat. And I was like, not a bad idea. So now I don't sit and do nothing and watch TV and do curls, because that's just never anything I've done. I lay in bed. So as I'm laying in bed and watching something, trying to sleep, I'm doing the curls. I'm doing like, what, I don't even know what to call them. They're like fake bench presses where I'm pushing the weights up towards, bringing them back down, extending my arms out to the side and raising the weights up. So basically just doing what I can on my back with these weights to burn muscle and, do a little extra cardio and stuff before bed. So, yeah, it's probably waking me up too, getting the blood pumping, but regardless, I'm working on little things that I can do. All right. No excuses. I'm doing it. Little things. Very, very happy about that. I got to do some fun stuff with my mom on Sunday. As usual, I take her running around doing errands. We decided to go for breakfast. I had breakfast at a little place called Tutti Frutti. Nothing special, just some stuff. I actually saw a friend of mine who I bumped into earlier in the week doing the almond tasting. My friend Amanda, I bumped into her. She's a manager at the Tutti Frutti. So it's one of those things, when the neighbor, like in the universe where you don't see someone for, years, and then you bump into them a couple times in a very short period of time. It's just, it's very interesting, especially considering like I was way out in the middle of nowhere doing the almond tasting, and then I bumped into her a completely different section of the city, and that just happens to be her place of work. It was very interesting how that worked out, but it was good seeing her. I actually also ran into that same, I ran into my friend Tasha as soon as I came in the door, Tasha Ford, who is an on again, off again listener to the podcast. I ran into her, so we had to catch up with her. My mom also knows her very, very well, so it was kind of nice for us to see her. Then I saw my friend Amanda, and then I ran into, I really am like the neighborhood dog. My mom calls me that. She's like, you're like the neighborhood dog. Fucking everybody knows you. So I ran into Jess and Man, who used to be the originally from the Ottawa area. They used to be the managers of the Absolute Comedy Club in Toronto for years, and just a few years back stopped doing that. So it was kind of fun to see them and their daughter out for breakfast. I just ran into them briefly. So yeah, it was cool. I was at a place for 40 minutes and I ran into 3 different people that I knew. So it was good. It was good breakfast. And following that, immediately, I was meeting up with Captain Lates-A-Lot on Kijiji. It's funny too, because before that guy who I was supposed to meet, who was in the wrong spot, I told him, well, I came in, do me a favor. We'll try this again, but next time don't be 30 minutes late. I go, because if you had been on time and you were at the wrong spot, we had 30 minutes to get you over to the right Starbucks, which is, kind of 2 blocks away, versus now I don't have time to come to you and do all this. I got to get to work. So I gave him another chance. He agreed to meet up with me on Sunday at noon at a Tim Hortons, very close to where I picked my mom up. And, he actually was only 20 minutes late this time, but he did show. And then when he showed, he's like, "Can I give you an e-transfer?" So we sat there, finished production. I've been chatting with this guy for all over a month now about getting this transaction done. So I'm glad it was a happy ending, but I really am not enjoying these Kijiji meetings. I don't know how you guys do it. Do you guys use Kijiji and do the meetings? Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you sell stuff? Is anybody using that Facebook marketplace? Like, every time I click on it, I just see these things I'm not interested in. I don't see it. Like, I could just be looking at it wrong, but I don't see any options to click on something, like categories. Sorry, my complete brain fart there. I don't see like how to narrow it down or anything like that. And the idea that it's like Facebook, I'm like, am I looking at just my friend's stuff, or am I looking at fucking everybody's stuff on Facebook? So it's new to me, and I've always got notifications on that little marketplace in the center. Every time I open Facebook, there's a little fucking one there that's, "Oh, you got new notifications from the marketplace." Like, why? I didn't message anybody. I didn't show interest in anything. So I don't know. I'm just, I enjoy e-commerce in that regard, that you can sort of, do a fucking garage sale all the time online, which I think is actually hurting, garage sales. I could be wrong, but generally speaking, now if you have shit kicking around that you don't want it anymore, you don't have to keep it around. You can throw it on fucking Kijiji and get rid of it. Someone comes to you, they take it, usually pay you what you want for it if you know how to, strategize. Does anyone have any strategies for that kind of stuff either? Mine is I always ask for more than what I actually want, because no one's ever going to pay that price that you ask on Kijiji. If you get that price you ask for, occasionally that's fucking great. But for the most part, someone's going to, "Would you take this or that?" And my new strategy is I don't want to have to go anywhere to give anybody anything. So I'll knock it down by a little bit to what I actually want to get for it. But I always add, I'll give it to you for this, but you have to come to me. And usually that works. Except for this guy. So he paid full pop. Anyways, so got that done. It was a great day on Sunday. I took my mom grocery shopping. Then I came back and I did a bunch of nerdy ass board game stuff, which I'll save you guys the bullshit of having to hear. Monday, I got to spend a lot of time at home, so I prepped some stuff for the podcast. I've been doing a lot of work on new sponsorship and stuff like that, and I will tell you about it. I went through a lot today, but that was yesterday, so I spent some time at home. I watched a movie. I actually been watching shows, so I guess I'll tell you guys about that. I watched a movie yesterday, and then I went to work at the mobile shop in the evening, and I really don't even remember what I did when I got home. I think I started cleaning up, whatever. Like, the week has been good. I've kept myself busy, doing lots of stuff. Maybe spending a little more outside of that than I should, but I'm feeling good. I'm starting to develop some hobbies, that are keeping me busy and whatnot. And I'm starting to work on the prep stuff and the physical stuff, just getting myself used to the idea of spending some time, doing meal prep and exercise and things like that. I'm looking for the weather to get nicer. Holy shit, is it ever still fucking cold? Driving me bananas. It's funny. I got the thirst in my veins to get outside. Just outside is still so unwelcoming, and everything's still frozen in my area. Like, everything's slippery and whatnot. So just the idea of going out and even walking is like, I'm going to slip and fall. Anyway, whatever. Who cares? I'm just going bananas right now. It's probably half bullshit excuses, but regardless, I'm not looking forward to being outside right now. It's not pleasant. So I'm spending time inside trying to make the most of it. Sorry, I'm just putting shit away. Today, I'll tell you guys about today. All right. I went to the mobile shop last night. Like I said, I worked there. I also worked there today as well. But this morning, so here's the thing. I had a really good friend, Pentelis, who, when I was in Montreal, I did his podcast. And he was mentioning to me that there's some different ways to monetize, right? To earn revenue from your podcast. And I began applying to one of those routes. And it actually seemed very, very lucrative. So here's the thing. I did the things I needed to do. I got them the information that they needed. I verified the things they needed me to do. All of this stuff takes time, and that's fine. That's part of the process. But here's the thing. As I was going through that process, it asked me my country of residence, and I said Canada. And, I continued along with the process. And I actually got the go ahead from them today. And so I started doing all of the steps to set everything up. I was really excited. I actually set it all up on my end. I started doing promo for it. So I created a bunch of promotion on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff, and started putting it out there. I started talking to some friends about it who I knew would be interested, got them to sign up and do what they needed to do for it. All of it free, for the record, all of it free. But every time someone signs up, they kick money back to the podcast. So it's a great way for somebody to get something for free, to send some money to us. Everybody wins. Until I started checking my stats, and all of the clicks that we were getting were being noticed, but none of the signups were. And at that point, I started doing more research and trying to figure things out. And I started emailing the company back, and they said, "Oh, our company has a Canadian website now. So it's not, you don't go through the .com anymore. You go through the .ca," which I noticed, like Amazon, right? We click on Amazon, it redirects you to the Amazon.ca if you live here in Canada. And it's like, yeah, you can do that, but they don't have, we can't track your Canadian signups, which is where everyone goes. And I was like, oh, that sucks. So is there a Canadian version of this program? They go, no. But if you have podcast listeners in the States, which I do, but not many, they go, you can still do that. So basically, let's put it this way. I would be advertising for them for free in the very off chance that maybe once in a while, one of my US listeners would sign up. So the idea is the amount of signups they would get from Canada because of all my Canadian listenership would do nothing for the podcast. And, once in a while, one might come from the States. So, unfortunately, I love all my partners, and these people were very kind and everything. It did piss me off that, I had to drag it out of them, that the country that I live in and podcast in, where my biggest listenership is completely ineligible for the partnership. So I think if they had told me that up front and I'd made the decision then, that it would have been different. But the fact that they knew where I was applying from, that they never voiced it, that I had to ask them a couple different ways and a few different emails for them to flat out go, no, you can never make money from anybody who signs up in Canada. That was just a big red flag to me, in the sense that, all right, well, that's not going to work for me, that I'm advertising for you guys. My Canadian listeners are it's a valuable service. I'm going to be honest. It's a valuable service. Again, this is something I'll come up in regular conversation, but because of this, I really don't feel like giving them too much advertisement. But the idea is their service is great. I'm a subscriber to the service. Like, you guys know me. I don't want to tell you to do something that I myself don't believe in or I'm not a user of, So I would hope that by now you guys know that I'm not just a fucking hired gun for promoting shit. I gotta like it. I gotta believe in it and use it myself. So anywho, I'm disappointed because like I said, I spent the whole morning setting everything up and doing advertising, promoting it, only to find out, and then start going into the work of trying to get that question answered, because I was trying to figure out why it wasn't showing up. So regardless, not able to partner with these guys in terms of my Canadian audience. And since it's my largest audience, I'm not interested in driving traffic to their website for no return. You guys listen to enough advertisements and partners on this podcast as is. So unless someone's adding some serious value to the podcast, we don't need nobody else right now. All right. Seat's taken. Okay. So anyways, that was something I did today, but so like I was saying, I gained a sponsor and then lost a sponsor very quickly afterwards. I didn't lose them. I just decided, they lost me. That's right. Okay. They lost me. You can't fire me. I quit. Of course, that doesn't exactly apply, but so I have gotten to work on a new partnership with another subsidiary of that same company, which does operate in both Canada and US. So I'm working on that. I will have more details in the future going forward. But as it stands, I was hoping to make a big announcement today of a new sponsor. I was so geared up and putting all that info in for the podcast today. And then, that didn't end up happening. I actually spent so much time with that. I didn't get to record the podcast before I went to work, which was my goal. But anywho, that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the nature of business, guys. You work on things and sometimes they don't come through. But I learned a lesson. This is my first time dealing with a giant company. I'll put it this way to you. The company that I'm working with now to try to set something up, just to be a partner of the podcast, is Amazon. So I'm looking on having some links that, I'll tell you guys more, but I've already set the Canadian one up. I just need to set the US one up. So basically, in the future, you guys will be able to, if you want to go on Amazon and buy something, you'll be able to just go to onemanpodcast.com. You click the Amazon logo and it takes you to Amazon. And now anything that you buy from Amazon, they're going to kick some back to me. And that doesn't mean that you have to go on Amazon and spend any more than you would have normally. It just means that instead of going amazon.ca, you just type in One Man Podcast and click the button. And now whatever you're buying on Amazon just gives us some. That's it. You're supporting your favorite podcast and you're not spending a dime more than you would normally. So that's one of the things I'm working on. I've got the Canadian link set up. And then, of course, I've been speaking with Ryan, the web guy, to make sure that instead of having to have like two buttons, one for Canadian people, one for Americans, it's just one button you click on. It automatically figures out which country you're in. And then that's it. You just buy the way you would normally. But Amazon sends me money for driving traffic to their website. The company that I was dealing with earlier that isn't exactly is one of the Amazon's own companies, but unfortunately their program only works for the States. So I'm totally eligible to receive the same thing as everybody else, but because all of my listeners are in Canada, I would get the same things any US, podcaster would get. Unfortunately, their base is probably more in their own country. So it works better for them. Blah, 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 blah. Business. That's it. Business happens. It's cool, but we're moving forward. I've got some more, and I'll let you guys know when that Amazon thing is up. Some things to talk about this week. Mike Mcdonald, Canadian comedy legend, the king of Canadian comedy, as he was known, to his peers and of course anyone who watched Just for Laughs, passed away this week. Very sad for the comedy community. Mike Mcdonald is Ottawa's own. He is from right here in my home city of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Super, super funny guy. Mike Mcdonald holds the record for the most Just for Laughs gala appearances. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right from Mikey's mouth, he told me that 23 was the amount of them he'd done in a row. I think he was going for 25. He was really hoping to make it a nice round 25. But they still had they stopped, what do you call it? They stopped right at the 23. I think it was before he was, it was definitely before he was diagnosed with his liver problems. Let's see if I can Google it. How many times in a row did Mike McDonald do Just for Laughs? Let's see if we can get it. I really have to start having these things ready. I was pretty damn sure it was 23 times. But yeah, he did. Oh, he's got his own fucking Wikipedia page. Jesus, that's not too shabby. He was in a show, Mr. Nice Guy. I think that's the one with what do you call it? Fuck, they've already updated his date of death and everything on Wikipedia. Shit happens quick. That's crazy. So let's see if it says how many times he's done Just for Laughs comedy career. Just for Laughs Showtime. Mike McDonald held the distinction of being the only comedian to perform at each and every Just for Laughs gala show. That's not true anymore. All right, I need some verification right here, Wikipedia. I'm going to go ahead and say 23 if anybody wants to correct me. That's definitely open for debate, but I'm pretty damn sure it was 23 times in a row. That's insane. After speaking with Zoe about people who want to do it once, and the gala is the big show. That's the one that's filmed and televised. There's a lot of shows that Just for Laughs that are not. Mike McDonald did them that many times, and I remember he was the first person. Mike McDonald was the first stand-up comedian that I lined up on the street in the cold to see. Because I remember I'd seen a few shows at Yuck Yucks, but Mike McDonald, with him coming to town, he was still living in Los Angeles at the time. So it was very, very difficult to get him to come up, to Ottawa. And whenever he came up, it was always very, very, a very big deal. Sorry, I'm mildly distracted by the people making all the noise in the hallway. As usual, I bet you guys can't hear it, but it's driving me fucking crazy. Give me one quick second. I'm going to go tell them to shut the fuck up. Way more receptive than they usually are. Alrighty. Thank God I learned how to hit the pause button, because normally it would be like, I'm going to have to go through this thing and fucking edit it. But there were too many pauses in tonight's episode. Tonight? It's falling apart here. Too many pauses, and I think it's coming from a lot of distractions. Didn't know the name of my scotch. Didn't know how many times Mike McDonald did Just for Laughs. Roommates came home and made noise. Ambulances go by. I was really excited for this episode. I had a lot of fun stuff to talk about, but I have lost my mind with distractions and unpreparedness. But regardless, talking about Mike McDonald, guys, I remember I went with my mom. I think I was 17 or 18, and maybe a little older. It doesn't matter. I was definitely before I was 20. And I remember that we lined up on the street. That people were outside Yuck Yucks. It was fucking cold, and I was just so excited to see the guy who I'd seen for years on TV. I'd only started going to comedy clubs later in life. Later in life. Well, fuck, I was still young, but the idea, I remember the first time Mika and I went to Yuck Yucks, we were just wandering around downtown. I think we were 17 or 18. And they let us in. They didn't card us or anything like that. We went in, just the two of us, and we saw a comedy show at Yuck Yucks. And we're like, can't believe we're in an actual fucking comedy club. This is amazing. Like, we were super, super stoked. And we had such a great time. I think we decided to go back the next week. I remember the first person who we saw was Bob Keel. The second person we saw was Derek Edwards, and the two shows were both so fucking amazing. But it wasn't long after, it was just a few months later that I remember seeing that like Mike McDonald was coming, within that year at least. That's why I'm like, 17, 18, whatever. But it was crazy, guys. It was so much fun. He was such amazing energy. He had everyone eating under the palm of his hand. We weren't seeing this guy for 6 minutes. We were watching him for 45 minutes to an hour. Do you know what I mean? And we're just watching him just destroy the whole fucking time over and over and over. It's so fucking funny. And I've seen him do that countless times since. I just remember he was really nice when I met him. He took a picture with me, which is currently my Facebook profile picture and available on my Josh Williams Comedy Instagram page. But that was fucking like anywhere between 15 and 17 years ago, that picture, which blows my mind that it's been that long. But I've had the pleasure of seeing Mike perform several times since. I have had the pleasure of sharing the stage with him and sharing conversations with him. It's funny. He moved home when he got sick. For anyone who doesn't know, he got really sick. I think it was hepatitis or something like that. But again, I could be wrong. Hey, I don't know my research, and I'm not going to try. But Mike got really sick and needed a liver transplant at one point, where he was fading away, getting so thin, everything like that, barely a shadow of himself. Moved back home to Ottawa. Yeah, got a transplant, got on the mend, started doing shows again. Funny, like he'd never left. And then and then last week, some I didn't even know it was happening. It was the night I walked into Canadian Tire to buy those glasses. I was going up the escalator, and I just, doing what everybody does now when you're killing time, right? You whip out your phone, you look at your phone, and the first thing I saw on my Facebook, newsfeed was a friend of mine, Simon Rakoff, a comic in Toronto, saying like, Mike McDonald from heart complications died tonight at blah, blah. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like it was unbelievable. I remember Mikey was, he was a funny guy, but he was a dark guy. You know what I mean? Like same thing with like a lot of comics, struggled with mental illness, struggled with depression, things like that. And these are not things that people talk a lot about in the media, in the sense that talking about someone in particular. And I mean no disrespect. I think all the people close to him know that I would mean no disrespect when saying that, but just he struggled with that kind of stuff. And, he was doing really great after his surgery. That was about 5 years ago now that he had that transplant, and was back to himself, doing shows again. He did Just for Laughs again, another gala since his surgery. So it was amazing. But yeah, I guess just, I don't know what he was in for, but, as hard as just the reason I brought up the depression stuff is that Mikey would always tell me stuff like, I remember he said to me, you remember how who your friends are in Los Angeles? He goes, yeah, they're the ones who stab you in the chest. I remember him saying that to me. And he also said to me, and this was regarding gigs, and when people tell you they want you to be a part of something, or they want to book you, or they're going to have you in their festival or something like that, he goes, Josh, only hold your breath when you're underwater, okay? It's just, he always had something funny to say, but sometimes there's a lot of melancholy and, morbidity to it. I don't know. He was a great dude. I got to see him live at that night at Yuck Yucks, lining up outside in the cold a long way. We never had to wait going to Yuck Yucks before. There would always be, it was always quick. You'd always be in the stairwell, and get in relatively quick. But that night, everyone was excited. Big lineup. I saw him before I'd ever entertained the notion of ever being a comic. It was really cool to see him and, just be able to experience him. Like, I'm glad, because again, part of being a comic is that you stop seeing, it's like my friends are all in the trades. So maybe this is the best example, is that when you just get to look at a place, a structure, whatever, and go, wow, that's beautiful. Once you know how it's built and how every brick is put in place, you stop seeing it maybe as just a wondrous thing, and you start to look at the craftsmanship. And that's not to say that you can't appreciate it. It just doesn't look the same. It doesn't look like a whole piece anymore. It looks like a series of pieces. And I think it was just, there's a certain sense of wonder that comes along with being able to look at something in its entirety and enjoy it. Like my mom calls me a comedy snob because when she tells me a joke, I don't laugh at the parts she wants me to or expects me to, when comics hear jokes now, we sort of nod, and it's almost like, tasting a wine or something, in the sense that you're not really just like, oh, that was good. You're going, all right, I taste this. I see how this was done. Oh, I see how I like how you worded that. And I like how you turned this into, like, you're looking at the craftsmanship of it. And so, yeah, you don't laugh out loud because it doesn't necessarily surprise you or shock you the same way as it would, but it doesn't mean you can't appreciate it. But there is, I kind of like the wonderment of it, like a magic trick, it's almost at times nicer not knowing how it was done and just being able to appreciate it for what it is. I take very long, wordy routes to things sometimes, but my point is I loved seeing Mike Mcdonald. It's very much like when I was telling you guys about the time with George Carlin. It was cool to still sit and wonder and just enjoy the end product, as opposed to, watching it with the criticism of deconstructing everything that was going on, and not in a malicious way, right? So anyways, rest in peace, Mike Mcdonald. Thank you for your years of representing Ottawa on the global comedy scene, representing Canada, the king of Canadian comedy. Stellar dude. I'm glad it is nice to, like I said, have seen him in that wonderment, and of course being able to share the stage with him and actually getting, like, I remember I did a show with him one time, and I'm not going to name the other comics in the show because they were not particularly appreciated by the crowd, but it was myself doing a feature spot, not hosting, which is nice, but I was on right before Mike. I was doing 20 minutes before Mike, and I remember the host and the opening act were having a difficult time. It was not the best of circumstances for a show, so Mike was sitting in the back just listening and making his comments. I was making comments with him, and Mike was agreeing with me the things I was saying. So that just alone, when you see him sort of, kind of ripping on the other comics on the show, it wasn't being rude. It wasn't rude, but just definitely mentioning and underlining the inexperience of some of the other comedians on the show. And so I remember I came off stage after the fish spot, and I think, without being arrogant, I cracked them open in terms of an audience. I turned them from being these guys like, fuck, when is this show going to be over, to, oh shit, that was fun, can't wait. I remember I came off stage and the host went back on to do a couple minutes before he brought Mike up, and Mikey just looked at me and said, hey man, thanks for turning them into a comedy audience. I think this actually might go well now. And again, as a guy who hasn't been doing it that long, to have someone who's seen it all, come up and just give you a little bit of praise, going, all right, you did a good job, kid, turn around, and he throws me his fucking jersey in the hallway. I don't know. It was just really cool. And then I think after the show, we were walking out to our cars together, and he was just letting me know how good a job I did, how I read the room properly. It was just cool to have gotten that little bit of validation and approval from a guy who is so advanced. We chatted many, many times, but it was just one of those times where, it was cool to get that nod from such a legend. All right. I'm going to move past the Mike Mcdonald stuff, guys, cause we're hitting the hour mark and I still got lots to talk about, but, yeah, big loss. I am such a nerd for the Marvel movies. Okay. I've talked about them. When the new one comes out, I go see it right away, and I'm always out of fucking town. And it's gonna happen again for this one. God damn it. But, the new and final trailer for Avengers Infinity War came out this week, and I must have watched it like 5-6 times. It's so wicked cool. I'm so excited for that movie. It is the culmination of all of these Marvel movies. It's got to be like the 20th movie in a row. It's like a TV series happening on film. All the stories go together. The stories are not getting any weaker. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait. I thought it was supposed to come out in May. It said May in the original release, and now it's coming out April 27th. And I happen to be in Kingston. So, I wanted to go opening night. Again, something fun to do, mother, son, go see the Marvel, but I'm out of town now. So, luckily I'm not going to wait fucking a week to see it. There's going to be way too many spoilers, way too many people talking about it. I'm excited. If you guys are the slightest bit interested in this Marvel movies, I would say check out the new Infinity War trailer. It looks amazing. There's already tons of YouTube videos about Easter eggs and stuff in it. So I'll just push that nerdiness aside. All I gotta say is I'm so fucking excited for Avengers Infinity War. It looks amazing, and it's coming out in just over a month from now. So super excited. April 27th. I'm going to get my tickets as soon as I can. All right. More nerdy stuff aside. I want to offer up a very big congratulations to my roommate and loudest motherfucker in the hall, Kamar Babar. He won the Alterna Savings Cracking Up the Capital competition at Absolute Comedy last night, which was Monday for me. Right, 2 nights ago for you guys. He won the spot. So what's happening now is every year Cracking Up the Capital brings out some really big comics, and then they have a competition that brings one person from the Yuck Yucks comedy show and one person from the Absolute Comedy show and gives them each 6 minutes at this big gala to raise money for mental health. This year, my buddy Kamar Babar won the spot for the Absolute Comedy show. So, had a little drink with him last night when he got home to celebrate. And he's very, very excited, so could not be happier for him. Well deserved. I've been pulling for him for a long time to win something like this, and now he has. So $500 to him, a great credit, and an evening that he will certainly never forget in honor of mental health. So I couldn't be happier for him and prouder of him. So congratulations, fuckface. One more thing before we move into the sponsors part of the podcast, guys. I want to come up with a name for you guys as the listeners. Not that it's super important or anything. I think that there's sort of like a, radio stations like a Hot 89.9 calls their listeners the hotties, there's not to say that that's the motive, but just everybody's listeners and fans have sort of names, Beliebers, right? I don't know what fucking Taylor Swift's twats are called, but the twits. Whatever the fuck can they call them? There's names for fans. And I just thought for fun, just to be able to, to give a noun to refer to you guys as, I thought it would be fun to ask you guys to basically to have a contest. That's what I really want to do. So, my friend Chris had one time written in, and he had said, I have something that I want to share with the One Maniverse. And while I thought that was a cool name, I don't think that's what I would call, all of you as a listenership. But I would like to open up. I like that creativity. If you guys, naming it. So I don't know if you want to name yourselves as a whole, or if you want to name what you would call one of the listeners, right? Like a believer. Or, something that you can pluralize if necessary, but One Maniverse refers to all of you, whereas I'd kind of like something I could call individuals. Regardless, here's what I want to do. I would love for you guys to email in. What's that email? contact@onemanpodcast. I would love for you guys to email in suggestions. Then what we're going to do, once I have suggestions, we'll do like one of those Facebook polls or something like that, or I'll read them on the show, and then you guys can vote for which one you like best. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to ask you to work for nothing. All right. I will give a $50 gift card to a place of your choice to the winner. So all you have to do is come up with a name for the listeners, something, obviously related to the title, but I don't care if you do something based on the acronym, which is OMP for One Man Podcast, but play around with it, get creative. There's nothing that's not submittable. I don't even give a fuck if it's way out there, but just something, if you can think of a name for the listeners of the One Man Podcast, just send it in, contact@onemanpodcast.com. I will submit them, and then you guys can all vote on them. And the winner will get a $50 gift card for wherever you want. I will mail it to you. I don't give a fuck where you are in the world. When you win, I will contact you. You tell me where you want it for, and I will do it. It'd be nice, since we're episode number 45. It would be nice for this to be something that we could do, have all done in the bag for episode number 50, right? And a little halfway to 100 thing. Nice little celebration. In fact, episode number 50 should be damn near the 1 year anniversary. Well, yeah, of course it would be. Josh 52 is 52 weeks in a year. So we'll be damn near close to 1 year. I've been doing this, consistently on time, every motherfucking time. So let's do that. All right. Email me your thoughts on what we should call, the fans, what you guys want to call yourselves, what you'd like me to refer to you as. Again, too much time talking about it. You get the idea. You want to win $50 for something? Nobody really jumps on board with these things. So if you come up with a name and submit it, you probably have like a 1 in 3 chance of winning a $50 gift card. All right. So get on that, guys. What do you want to fucking call? What do you want to be called? All right. Get creative with it. So that's what I'm working on this week and always is, again, just getting back to the gym and writing. I've already started writing down more premise ideas so that when we do the writers group on Sunday, we're doing another one of those. Obviously those was a good time last time. Going to have a good time again. Yeah, so I'm going to try to get back to the gym. That's why I'm working on the lifting stuff. I also want to work on reading every day. I've been reading my whiskey book, and as much as I wanted to have a different book ready for you guys in terms of the sponsorship, that's the one I'm going with this week, only because I've been just absolutely over the fucking moon with it. It's so goddamn good. But I want to start reading an hour every single day, regardless of what happens. The last hour, by the time I get to bed, whether I'm, tired or not, I don't know, fuck it, whatever. Everybody wants to read, right? It makes you smarter. So it's just the thing I'm focusing on. I want to get to the gym. I want to write. I want to read. It's so funny. I imagine as a kid, if you told me as a kid that one day my goal would be reading and writing, that's what I would want out of every single day to have incorporated in, I'd laugh at myself. But that's what I want to do, guys. What I've been watching. So I referred to some movies and some shows I was watching, guys. I started watching the show New Girl because Jason was always recommending it. He was always in his room laughing and saying it was a great show. So I thought I'd check out the New Girl, starring Zooey Deschanel, or whatever the fuck you say her name. Spelled Zooey instead of Zoe, but Zooey Deschanel. I was watching that. It's funny, I guess. I do actually, I do enjoy it. I watched several episodes, so obviously it's doing something right because I'm liking it. But I find her character kind of obnoxious. Like, as much as I enjoy the show, I kind of enjoy the silliness of the guys a lot more than I enjoy her silliness. I find her very whiny and annoying and a little too caricaturesque. So but it's a funny show. It's a girl who lives with 3 dudes, and they're all just terrible at relationships and basic sitcom shit. I immediately was bummed out when I found that it was a Fox sitcom. I thought it was something like Netflix specific, or whatever, but no, it was a Fox sitcom. Excuse me. So, I enjoyed it. I just find her character, the new girl from the title, a little obnoxious. So, I'm only still in the first season. I'm sure it develops. It was like a show that was like on for like 6 or 7 seasons. So, that's what I've been watching. That's my mind-numbing falling asleep to show. I was loving Love, but I finished it. And now I needed a new thing to mind numb to as I fell asleep. So it was New Girl. I also started watching Scream, the show Scream. I don't know why. I watched it once, a couple years back with Crystal. We watched like the first episode, and it wasn't anything special. But again, it is, if you're expecting Scream in every episode, they even basically dissect themselves, as that movie nerd kind of from the Scream series is always like explaining how it is. He's like, well, slasher movies has to exist within, an hour and a half. The bloodbath comes up quick and you got to have a resolution by the time the sun comes up. But, a series, takes a long time. You got to fall in love with the characters. It's too long. So I don't know. I think I binged that for the most part yesterday. I was watching a lot of episodes of it, but it's, it wasn't half bad. By the time it was all said and done, if you are looking for something to binge and you kind of like horror jump scares at times, it was nowhere near as good as the Scream movies. Like even the fourth Scream movie, which is also on Netflix, wasn't really not that good. It's about the same caliber as the show. The show really could have been any slasher, this guy's coming to kill you thing. I think there's a lot of things that benefit from just the name recognition of the things that they're brought into that have nothing to do with it. Like it really, not to suggest that it should go the same direction as the other Scream movies, because obviously those ones are played out, but it would have been nice to see something maybe a little bit more Scream-ish. I actually, in the first season, I predicted the killer. I had two people that I thought were the killer, and the one I thought was the most likely to be the killer actually ended up being. So, not super, whatever. It was fun. It was a fun series. So if you guys want something fun on Netflix that's not just your average Vampire Diaries or whatever, check out Scream the series. You can finish it in a day. A lot of fun. There's a second season. I'm going to fuck around with that and see what I think. But I'm a fan of the horror stuff. I started watching, so yesterday during the day before I started watching the Scream series I started watching this movie called Open House. And it's a Netflix original. It has the kid from, I think he played Scott Summer in X-Men Days of Future Past. And he was in something else too. Been in some stuff, whatever. He's a kid on the rise. But it's a movie called Open House. And I was watching a YouTube video earlier. I always have shit on the background that ends up piquing my interest. But I was watching a YouTube video about the, top horror flicks coming out or suspense movies, whatever, in 2018. And this movie Open House was on there. The trailer for it looked really good. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll throw it on there. Now, I am going to, okay, I'll tell you what. I am going to spoil this movie, but before you fast forward, just in case you're like, oh, I want to see that. This movie is shit. Garbage. I had to Google stuff after the movie was over and be like, did I miss something? Because I was doing work and it was on the background. So I'm like, did I miss something that made this movie good? And then I read all these reviews that were like, this movie's shit. Like reviews that are like Forbes magazine and stuff like that of like reviewing shit. And everyone was like, how did Netflix miss the mark so fucking bad on this one? So movie is called Open House. It's a son and a mother, there's a father too, but the dad gets hit by a car or something like that, on a trip. The son and the dad go to the convenience store. Dad gets hit by a car leaving the convenience store. The mother and son have to move out to this house, which I wasn't paying attention, but it could have just not been in the plot. They moved to this house in the middle of nowhere. I don't even remember who left it to them or whatever, but they need to sell it. It's not even like, it didn't even make sense. Like if the father and the mother and the son lived there, but then the dad died and they couldn't afford it, so they had to put the house being an open house for sale is a big driving part of the plot. But the idea is that like you don't know. I guess, for fuck's sakes, it doesn't make any sense. Trying to make sense of that fucking movie. The point is they go out to this house, they have to sell it, so they put an open house. They have an open house, and things start going weird. They meet the neighbor one night who like knows too much about them, and they're hearing things around the house, and the kid's got like having some like visions of his dad or whatever. So like it's one of those ones that's almost like, if you've ever seen the movie What Lies Beneath with Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford, where it's like something seems like a haunting, then there's like a murderer, then there's like the scary neighbor next door, like all these elements that really worked well in the movie What Lies Beneath. In this, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like none of this makes any sense. And these scenes just keep happening for nothing. At the end of the movie, things actually start going down. Like someone who comes to help them, ends up getting murdered. Then the kid, his mother, the kid gets knocked out when he finds the body, and the guy like pours gas all over him, but like leaves him in the driveway, doesn't light it or anything, just leaves him in the driveway. Then the guy goes upstairs, ties the mother to a chair. And this part was like so upsetting and unnecessarily graphic. This guy just ties the mother to a chair, grabs her hands, and he's like holding her hand. And then you slowly see him separate one of her fingers from the rest of her hand. And then I was like, oh fuck, he's going to break her finger. Boom, busts her finger. I was like, Jesus Christ. Then he slowly gets the next finger, breaks it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Stop. Like that's a lot. And they basically make you watch him break every single one of her fingers. So fucking graphic and unnecessary. Like the whole movie is a long way into the movie when this happens. Nothing was so graphic in the movie. I'm like, do I really have to just sit here and listen to this woman being fucking tortured? Like just having like you couldn't just be like snap two of them and then see him getting ready to do the third and you come back and like fucking both of her hands are mangled. Like again, he broke every one of her fingers. You're actually listening to him break every one of her fingers. Still don't see who this guy is. Assuming he's a guy. It's 2018. Why do you think he's a guy? Why do you even assume that guy identifies as a guy, Josh? You fucking asshole. All right, sorry. The point is, fucks with the mother. Kid wakes up in the driveway, goes upstairs to find his mom. She's fucking on the floor now, fell out of the chair. No, he's just left her there. This guy's just left her there. Left the kid, left the mom. Mom picks the fucking kid up, or the kid picks his mom up, and he starts running around. Then this guy grabs catches the kid somewhere down in the fucking kitchen or whatever, knocks him down, and then like reaches into his eyeball and pulls out his contact lenses. So now the kid can't see. I don't remember ever seeing this kid put in his contact lenses, but the fact that this guy knows the kid is wearing them and takes them out and then lets him go. So now the kid's running around outside in the dark, like blind, can't see anything. Chase. Finally, the kid like seemingly makes it out okay, makes it down to the river or whatever. He's drinking out of the river. Then he turns around, the guy's standing there. He's like, no, please don't hurt me. And it just cuts away. And then it's like showing all these scenes from around the house, like different shots of nothing happening. And then you just see the kid's dead, the kid's body just laying there, eyes open, dead by the side of the river. And you're like, okay, so he killed the kid. And then you just see this truck driving down. Like you still don't see this guy's face, for the record. Don't see this guy's face. And then at the end of the movie, it's, seconds later, after it shows the kid's body died, it shows this truck driving down the road, and then it stops and decides to turn down this road. And as the camera pans back, you see that on this road, there's a sign leading towards this house and it says open house. And that's the movie. So everything in the movie, the plot and the characters' growth, everything like that, everybody dies. And the only thing that you learn about this movie is the fact that there's some guy, I guess, because you never see who the killer is, goes around to open houses, goes in, sees the house, and then eventually starts tormenting, torturing, and then killing whoever's having the open house. No motive, no knowing who it is, nothing to piece anything together. So all this time learning characters, whatever, they're all just going to die anyways, and then nothing. So that was the movie Open House. Giant piece of horse shit. Waste of 2 hours. Good production value. Honestly, it was really good production value. But a waste of fucking time. Pointless. And all the reviews that I read were like, this is a big piece of shit movie. So there you go. There's me spoiling a movie. I've asked you fuckers. I don't know what to call you yet, right? We're waiting in the contest. But I've asked y'all motherfuckers to tell me whether you want me to spoil a movie or not spoil a movie. And since I haven't heard anything, I spoiled one. Let's see how much shit you give me. And if you don't give me shit, well, I'll just spoil movies from now on. Regardless, I don't think I'd do that. I don't have the heart to do that. But this movie, like I said, suspenseful, scary moments, sounds in the middle of the night, big fucking house. Like it had the potential. There's even one scene where you see like, it's a really good shot of the woman like laying in bed, looking over at her night table, like next to her. And in the background, all you see is the silhouette sit up in bed next to her that obviously shouldn't have been there. Just some really great scares, but all for nothing. No idea who this guy is. No idea what his motive is. No idea how he knows the things he knows. But yeah, kills everybody and then just drives to the next place. Oh, another open house, time to kill another bunch of people, I guess. So stupid fucking movie. Netflix has got rid of their star system a long time ago, so you can't just fucking give it no stars. Or 1 star. Either way. So that's what I did for this last week, guys. Great times. Sorry, we're like fucking almost, an hour and 20 in, and I like I said, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about this week. I was excited. I'm in a really good mood. As much as I'm bitching about that movie or whatever, I'm in a good mood. Today was a bit of a frustrating day, and I don't know if maybe I'm riding some of the waves of that energy. Just the fact that I'd worked real hard on that first sponsor today, getting it ready or whatever. And then, shit happens, but lesson learned. And I figured I actually picked a great article for us to read today from my partners at Portable Press, Uncle John's Bathroom Readers, all about internet and websites and things like that, because everything on the web, it's not as just easy peasy cut and dry as it may seem sometimes. So this is an article from Uncle John's Heavy Duty Bathroom Reader from my partners at portablepress.com. This article is called Dot Bombs. Today we take buying things over the internet for granted. But the concept of e-commerce was brand new in the 1990s as billions of dollars were invested in new internet companies. And nearly all of them fizzled. Some because they were ahead of their time, others simply because they were bad ideas. Here's a look at some of the biggest internet busts. Company, Flues.com. Product, internet currency, which we're sort of seeing again now, right? With, what do they call them? Bitcoins, yes, and that other one, Ethereum or something like that. But what do they call them? Cryptocurrencies. That's what they call them. Loading. Most Americans do at least some online shopping or bill paying today. But in 1998, people were scared and skeptical about giving a credit card number over the internet. So Flues.com conceived a safe internet currency. Consumers were supposed to go to Flues.com, Flooz.com, enter in their credit card number, and buy internet money or Flues, which could then be used to pay for purchases at online merchants. Based on that concept, Flues secured $34 million from investors and agreements with Tower Records, Barnes & Noble, Restoration Hardware, and other retails to accept Flues as legal tender on their websites. File not found. So that's basically, by the way, the format of this particular article. They go loading, and then file not found is what ended up happening. So file not found. A large percentage of Flues' budget went to TV commercials starring celebrity spokesperson Whoopi Goldberg. She's the face of what I think currency is. But the idea never quite caught on. As people became more comfortable with buying things over the internet, and as major retailers started securing credit card data with a new, nearly impenetrable data disguising system called encryption. Few thought it was necessary to buy special online money. Flues flopped on August 26, 2001, after which all outstanding Flues and 34 million investors' money turned to dust. Company, webvan.com. Product, groceries. Loading. The service offered by this internet-based company was both old and new. Home delivery of groceries, which was once common but hadn't been offered since the mid-20th century, when Americans started switching from local grocers to chain supermarkets. In Webvan's business models, groceries would be offered off the internet and arrive at the customer's home via a nearly fully automated process. In brackets here or parentheses, the vans still required people to drive them. It seemed like a great idea to a lot of people. Webvan raised and spent more than $1 billion using the funds to expand outside of its San Francisco home area to 8 more cities in just over a year. More of the money went to computerized warehouse facilities where orders were automatically boxed, sorted, and loaded onto delivery trucks. By mid-2000, Webvan.com was valued at $1.2 billion and announced plans to expand into 18 more metropolitan areas. File not found. E-commerce may have changed many elements of business, but it did not change the fact that a company needs a certain number of customers to turn a profit. That's what happened when your brain's 5 words ahead. Webvan looked good to investors, but it expanded too fast. Furthermore, grocery profit margins are very slim, not enough to cover $1 billion worth of state-of-the-art distribution centers. Webvan spoiled in July 2001, its share price having dropped from $30 to 6 cents in a matter of months. The brand name, not the company, resurfaced in 2009 as a member of the Amazon family. Company, MVP.com. Product, sporting goods. Loading. The company had a lot going for it at its 1999 launch. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of issue today, guys. Its investors included beloved sports icons and seasoned product endorsers such as quarterback John Elway, basketball superstar Michael Jordan, and hockey icon Wayne Gretzky. That seemed like a big advantage for a company selling sporting goods online. Another advantage, MVP.com had a lucrative advertising deal, a 4-year contract with CBS Television in which the online merchant got consistent ad time during the broadcasts of CBC's highly watched NFL games. In return, CBS got an equity stake in the company with a guaranteed annual payout of $10 million. File not found. But just a year later, MVP.com failed to pay CBS its $10 million because it didn't have the $10 million to pay. In fact, the company never turned a profit. Marketing experts say that advertising deal was ill-conceived. Sports spectators are not necessarily sports participants. When they didn't receive their cut, CBS voided the contract and canceled all of MVP.com's future advertising. MVP.com was KO'd at the end of 2000. Its address, www.mvp.com, was taken over by Sportsline, a new sports news service managed by CBS. Oh yeah. And that, my friends, is .bombs from portablepress.com, my partners at Uncle John's Bathroom Readers. And the two running feet on these pages were, it takes 50 pounds of olives to produce 1 gallon of olive oil. It's very similar to maple syrup. It's funny, it takes 50 pounds of olives to produce 1 gallon of olive oil. And the other one says, Made Guys. 27 actors from the movie Goodfellas also appeared on The Sopranos. So that was fun, eh? This week, well, who's my other partners, guys? We know who they are. Absolute Comedy. I'm going to give you guys a little plug here. This coming week, so when you're going to hear it in Ottawa, one of my favorite comedians, amazing, fucking hilarious writer. Not to say that all the comics aren't great, but I do have to give this guy a special plug. His name is David Pride. If you are listening to the episode, guys, anytime this week where you can still make it to the club, check out absolutecomedy.ca to make your reservations for a show here in Ottawa. See David Pride if you can. Check the calendar, whatever city you're in, because if David's here, he's likely going to be showing up at the other clubs, Kingston and Toronto, in the near future as well. Don't miss David Pride. He's performed at Just for Laughs festivals many times, a regular on CBC's The Debaters, an amazing writer, super funny guy. Check him out. For the rest of you, just check out Absolute Comedy when you can and enjoy their little promo. Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America, with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America. Oh, yeah, the best live stand-up comedy from across North America. absolutecomedy.ca. I also still very excited. No more news yet on when Summersby Watermelon is coming out, but I promise you guys, you will be the first to know. The sun gives life to the orchard. The orchard gives life to the apple. The apple gives life to Summersby. Summersby is a delicious sweet taste of sunshine, imported across the ocean all the way from Denmark. The people in Denmark are smarter, and so are you, if you drink Summersby. With flavors like apple, blackberry, pear, elderflower lime, red rhubarb, and a taste as regal as this fake accent, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And now, you can try them all in the Summersby Mixer Pack, available wherever fine beverages are sold. So go on and try for yourself the crisp, refreshing taste of Summersby. Your taste buds deserve it. Please drink resplendently. Doodly boop bop beep bop bow, and we're back. Oh, and my other sponsors, you know the ones, guys. My partners. My partners at DK. They are Spartan warriors, I will say that, of the reading world. I'm really off, guys. Maybe I'm going to have a stroke soon. Everything's just starting to slur my speech. The right side of my face is getting all fuzzy. My partners at DK, Dorling Kindersley, guys. I am loving the book. I got to talk about it. One sec. Everything's out of reach tonight. Everything's out of reach. Just too far. Got it. God damn it. Ugh. Except for the curse words. The curse words are always right at the tip of my tongue. My DK book by Michael Jackson, not the pop singer, but the alcoholic. I am reading my whiskey book from DK. It is called Whiskey, the Definitive World Guide. Just lets you know all about Scotch bourbon whiskey, and it is the new edition released years after the original. The original writer of this book, Michael Jackson. You know, this is a white guy. It makes me think of that Simpsons episode. You're not Michael Jackson, you're a white guy. I'm Michael Jackson, the Scotch aficionado. This guy was like apparently ahead of his time and such a huge, just lover of the craft of whiskey and spirits, and of course writing. So he made it like fun to read about, drinks and stuff like that. But he passed away in 2007, and they have since gotten just expert connoisseurs, enthusiasts. What's a fucking name? Not sommeliers, that's for wine, but just basically aficionados all over the world, amazing their craft to basically write in this book and make it deeper into it. So I'm almost done, but I got to tell you guys, as I've been getting more and more interested in scotches, I've had questions to learn more about different parts of the process and what makes one better than another. What's the different areas? What are they made with? Like, I got to tell you, this book is fucking awesome. Even just different glasses and things like that they drink whiskey out of, and how it makes the tasting experience different. But I have to say, like, you learn, there's so much to be learned in this book, and I'm not going to be able to describe it all right now, but I've learned lots of different things about whiskeys in terms of the different processes that they make them, from the different regions, the process of making things from different regions, and the type of peats and spring water and things like that come from the different areas. How in the States something has to be, so for example, States is known, they do whiskeys there, but they're known primarily for their bourbons, right? So Kentucky, Tennessee, and bourbons have to be made with 51% corn base as their grain, as opposed to rye that have to be like 51% wheat. So it's really cool to learn little things like that. It's just little things, how different things that they do in the barrel. So why they use oak, right? Everything has to be oak barrels. A lot of different woods, but everything has to be oak. So for example, for a bourbon can only legally be called a bourbon if it's 51% corn based, and it has to be aged in oak, in brand new oak barrels. So you cannot age a bourbon in a barrel that's been used before. It has to be brand new. What they'll do is they'll fry the sides of the barrels, to help bring out the taste when you pour the liquid in, right? Because it pulls all that new woody taste out. And oak is a very porous wood, but it's also very, what is it? It's hard but flexible, porous, but I can't remember the other one that they called it. But the idea is that, like, you can roll these things around, you know what I mean? Whereas scotches, right, or scotch and whiskey, they are typically not used to, like, you have to use a used barrel. They don't put them in brand new ones. They usually will take them from things, and typically that have sweeter notes too. So like sherry, like that have been used to bottle sherry or wines or things like that. So sweeter, I think they said bourbon. So they'll use it's a very interesting process. And a lot of places are starting to use, instead of using like barley and stuff like that, they're using like quinoas, and they're experimenting with new kinds of grains and stuff like that for the malting process. There's, they're talking about the different kinds of barley that they've used over the years. Because originally barley was, used to feed people as well. But, as people moved to different kinds of wheats and stuff like that, the barley was still used, generally speaking, for the the whiskeys. And over the years, they've had to play around with different kinds of sciences behind the barley to, yield more and to create different, I guess heads is the best thing I could think of for the barley itself. So they've been playing. It's so funny. They have one called the Golden Promise because there was a very sparse series of years. And so they had to make something called Golden Promise that was, a barley that had way more plentiful, grains and malts on it. And Yeah, basically now they're saying that the golden, promise hasn't been used for years because it's ever since they've had way more come out and they've engineered even better. But it was one that was like, they were worried about something bad happening again. They had golden promise come out and it was basically, they never had that issue ever again. And it's since been engineered even better. But it's really cool shit to learn about the process of it, to learn where peat comes from, right? Because peat is like it's like an organic fuel source, which is basically like mossy vegetation that's all been pressurized or whatever. And it comes out like they cut it out of the ground. Scotland has got like the biggest resource of it on Earth. I think it was something like 40 square miles of it or something like that. Unbelievable. So there's shitloads of it and it cuts out of the ground. It comes out with the texture of like wet brownie and then it has to dry and they use that to dry the malt when it's all done, right? So they burn the peat and that's where the smokiness and stuff like that comes from Scotch as they're drying the malts. There's so much shit to learn, They're talking about how there's all sorts of new distilleries and things like that coming up around the world that are experimenting with new things. There's lots of new flavors being added to whiskeys, which in truth doesn't make them whiskey anymore. They're saying that they call themselves whiskeys, but they're not whiskeys because of these fundamental. All whiskeys have 3 ingredients. What is it? Like the malt, yeast, and water. And that's it. That's it. A few places, I was mentioning this earlier, but a few places have been saying in the book that some Scotch whiskey, they will add coloring to. Might not have been the Scotch. It might have just been some whiskeys, but they'll add coloring to, which I don't like the idea of, right? The color is a good indicator of how it's going to taste. But, I digress. I'm absolutely loving this book. They sent it to me for my birthday when I originally said that I was interested in learning about, whiskeys and I was getting into whiskey drinking. They sent me this book as a gift. I'm absolutely loving it. If you like, whiskey and drinks and things like that, and you want to learn more, there's so much cool stuff in here. And I barely scratched the surface of what I was talking about, of this book. Like I've only talked about a little bit of the stuff in this book, but there's so much really cool things. Like I said, they talk about all the different woods and different woods that they're playing with, what is the water, whether the water's hard or soft, like all of these things. If you really enjoy it, you can learn about. They talk about even different kinds of like production methods that some places have tried just to see if it makes a difference. They've actually shot whiskey barrels into space to see if like they've sent them into orbit. All right. They didn't lose them. They sent them into orbit to see if it would make a difference in the taste based on gravity. Like if gravity changed the maturing process. Some interesting facts like the spelling, is it Whiskey or just KY? And apparently it just has to do with certain areas and how they transferred translate the Gaelic in it. Whiskey itself means water of life, if you didn't know that already. So very, very cool info in there. And of course, for something to be considered Scotch whiskey, it has to have been made entirely in Scotland, and it has to have aged at least 3 years in Scotland. So it's in the barrel, has to have been made in Scotland, and it has to have been, aged for at least 3 years in Scotland. I guess I can just go for a trip after that, but that's the only way it can legally be considered Scotch. And I believe it has to be single, but there are blended whiskeys. But in order for it to be a Scotch, it has to be a single malt, made entirely in Scotland and aged for 3 years in Scotland. But there you go. Anyways, so there's a million more things I could tell you. But you know what? If I'm sure I've lost the interest of a lot of people who aren't Scotch drinkers, but I got to tell you, if you have any interest in the drink, this book is awesome. And I will tell you more when I finish it. I will give you more information on it if you're interested, but what an amazing gift from my partners at DK. I love this book. As always, if you go on Facebook or Twitter, I will have a link to get your own copy of this. But just a wicked book. If you enjoy drinking and spirits and things like that, you should have this book. There's so much information in it, and it's got a great guide of all the new things happening. This book was originally released in 2007, I believe. Or I think 2005, and then it was released again in 2015. So the people have added a lot. The author died in 2007. That's where I'm getting the 2007 from. So they've updated it with all the new things coming out, because there's been a lot of changes in the world of distilleries and whiskeys and things like that since 2005. So they've preserved his works from the first one and added more as more regions come up. So there's lots of talk about all over the different places of the world, distilleries and fun things people are doing with whiskeys, the history of it, all sorts of fun stuff. Cannot recommend Whiskey, the Definitive World Guide, more. So thank you, my partners at DK, for sending this to me, and I hope any of you guys who pick it up enjoy it. I'd love to know your thoughts on it when you're done reading it as well. And that gets into what's coming up this week. So thank you to all my sponsors. This week, I'm off tomorrow. So no predetermined work. So I am going to write tomorrow. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. And that's today. While you guys are listening to this, I'm going to be, hopefully I am at the gym or writing while you're listening to this, sending you guys good vibes, hopefully getting some good vibes back, and working on making it a regular thing. I got to find what time of the day works for me. I'm going to go to I think it's called a CODA meeting about codependency. They happen on Wednesday night. There's one just down the street from where I live. I've never been to one, but I guess I don't know if that stuff's supposed to be like AA or whatever, but my intention is to go there and just sort of learn some things, work on some of the dark shit inside that maybe makes me keep going back to that food well every now and again. It's not that I overeat. I just eat when I don't need to. And obviously if I'm not doing the other stuff I need to do to make myself right, I don't know. Fuck it. I'm going to go to a codependency meeting. All right. I'm going to share some stories. I'm going to try to better myself. All right. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I love is I'm looking at my sheet here. Thursday, I have nothing. I don't have a shift. I don't have to do anything on Thursday, and I'm so happy. So I hope just more day of doing good stuff for myself. Friday, I work at the mobile shop. And then I'm going to go hang out I actually don't work on the mobile shop. I work doing a tasting on Friday. Looking forward to that. Saturday, fucking nothing on my calendar. Nothing. A Saturday off. Amazing. Sunday, I'm looking forward to because I'm doing stuff with the writers group. That's going to be amazing. So writers group on Sunday. I work my last shift at the mobile shop before I'm a free man. Got my walking papers. And then the Absolute Comedy staff party is Sunday night. We're going to go for dinner. We're going to go to bowling for some reason, but fuck it. I'll do it for the story and hopefully have some fun stories for you guys next week. Monday, Tuesday, nothing on the docket. So again, just self-love, writing, working out, eating right. Oh man, gray skies are going to clear up and we got a bright future ahead. I know those aren't the words. So now it's time for your emails, guys. Emails. Love getting your emails. contact@onemanpodcast.com. Let me know what you thought about this episode. We're an hour and 40 minutes in. It's probably going to be one of the longest episodes I've had in a long time, and I hope it has been entertaining throughout. Somehow managed to keep my voice. It hurts. My throat is sore, but I loves it. I loves talking to you guys. I got an email, first time emailer, long time, forever, all time listener. I'm going to call it all time because he's been listening since day one. My roommate, Kamar. So congratulations to him once again for winning that spot at the Alternative Savings, Cracking Up the Capital show coming up later this month. Kamar writes, "Hey, Josh and listeners. By the way, I've read his email when he sent it in, and he's not writing to me. He's writing to you. Through me. So there'll be many times where he just refers to me as if I'm not even here. But here goes. Hey, Josh and listeners. I've always wanted to hear my fucked up life read by Josh in my ears to remind me what an idiot I can be. So here goes. Despite Josh and his never-ending praise of me, he neglected to mention that I went to Cuba. I know it was hard for him to lose someone so close to him. Our rooms are next to each other. And I was disheartened to hear in his account of his week past, he failed to mention my departure. Alas, I did go on said vacation and came to a startling revelation upon my journey. I am able to drink an irresponsible amount of alcohol and impact my life in ways I wish I was not able to. The flight was pedestrian for 4 hours. I don't know if it's supposed to be a comma there, like 4 FOR hours or FOUR hours. Anyways, the flight was pedestrian 4 hours, boarding to leaving customs in Cuba. Leaving, you do customs in Cuba, whatever. I think it's 4 hour flight from here to Cuba is what you're saying. The locals were eager to sell local beer at an exorbitant price because apparently riding on a tour bus is cool with Cuban officials and possibly encouraged. Anyways, we checked in at Villa Tortuga, as I was traveling with a female companion who has been the object of my desire for too long to mention. We were both giddy with excitement of what the week would bring. Unfortunately, upon arriving at our room, we discovered the air conditioning was not working. After complaining and negotiation with the staff, we were granted a new room, but not until the next day. We had a couple of drinks and retired to bed, resolved to make the best of the week to come. In the morning, we awoke and changed rooms, as had been the agreed solution to the air conditioning issue. After settling into our new accommodations, which were more spacious and included a second floor balcony and amenities our last room did not have, we proceeded to bounce back between the bar at the beach and the bar at the pool. Needless to say, I consumed a fair share of alcohol. After 5 p.m., it's anyone's guess as to what happened. The next thing I remember is I'm lying on a luggage cart covered in blood, screaming, "I think I broke my ankle and I don't know my room number," in the middle of the hotel lobby. After a difficult exchange with the hotel concierge figuring out my room, because of course these people speak Spanish, my better half was summoned with a special request to bring shorts because I was also naked. To say my girl was upset would be an understatement. I hobbled away and in the morning realized that in my stupor, I thought I had locked myself out on the balcony and decided the only solution was dropping 20 feet to safety. Upon making a less than successful landing, I was found by hotel security and brought to the lobby in a less than desirable position, naked on a luggage rack. So that was the first 24 hours of his vacation. And I challenge your listeners to top that beginning of a vacation. I would love to tell you about the rest of the trip, but I have to go to work and this essay was written with haste. So I apologize for my punctuation and grammar. If your listeners would like to see pictures... Oh, now you're talking to me? If your listeners would like to see pictures of the trip, refer them to @KamarBabar on Instagram. KamarBabar on Instagram, Kamar Babar on Instagram. If they would like to hear how the rest of the trip went, they should write in and ask you to have me on the podcast. Day 4, when I flooded the hotel, was a doozy. Flooded the hotel room. You've already been on the fucking podcast, all right? And this is the most interesting story that you've told in our presence. I hope the story of shame and embarrassment helps provide content for your weekly podcast. Keep up the good work, Josh. And listeners, remember to rate the podcast and leave a review. Let's get this podcast really successful so Josh can finally focus on his comedy and weight loss. Because let's face it, the world would not be as funny without him. Oh, that's sweet of you. P.S. Josh, that banging your head against the wall. Oh yeah, Josh, that banging that you hear against the wall is not me rubbing one out. Cheers. Who knows about that? Who knows about that? Thanks for writing in, Kamar. I appreciate it, buddy. Hope you're having a wonderful day at work. Contact at onemanpodcast.com, guys. I love hearing your stories. I love hearing what's going on with you. And that's me. Kamar showed me that video of how high the balcony was that he dropped down from. But I can just you're so drunk the next thing you know, I broke my ankle. I don't know if my room is naked on a luggage rack. Naked. That's the part I don't get. How does getting naked help you fall to freedom safer or faster or more successfully? Thank you, of course, everyone. All my sponsors, portablepress.com, Absolute Comedy, DK Books, and Summersby. Always appreciate having you guys there. I love the partners that make my life easy and not the ones that don't work in Canada. As you guys know, I'm available. I am available. I'm available. I'm out there. Take me. You guys can find everything from the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. It's all One Man Podcast. So just search it. So it's search field, One Man Podcast, and then follow us or like us or, subscribe, because there's content out there and I would love to be more of a part of your life. I would like to steal more of your precious time than I already do. You guys are the best. Always love talking with you. Sorry this week's episode was so long. I hope it's enjoyable to listen to. I look forward to having some real great stories and info for you guys next week. In the meantime, enjoy your weeks. Know that I love you very much, and I can't wait to hear from you. Talk to you soon.